Good morning, Bitcoin, and welcome back to another special edition of your Bitcoin economic calendar. Today is Monday, October the 12th, and today is Canadian Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you checking in from Canada and to all of you checking in from everywhere else in the world. Let's dive right in because we had a very, very busy week last week, and likely this week's going to be action-packed as well. As always, we kick things off with Bitcoin. It had a great week last week, blasting through 11K and closing the week at 11,374, up 6.59% on very, very strong momentum. Last week, worldwide markets got off to a very strong start on Monday after President Trump's health appeared to have improved and he was released from Walter Reed Hospital on Monday afternoon. After knee-jerk reaction down on Tuesday, it was off to the races again on Wednesday, and the big news for Bitcoin came on Thursday when Square, Jack Dorsey's company, announced that it had purchased $50 million worth of Bitcoin. We'll be covering this in more detail in today's market trends sections, along with a very, very important chart which shows the historical relationship between the market capitalization of Tether and the price of Bitcoin. Now, moving on to the S&P 500, we see that equity markets worldwide had a strong week on the back of the US president's health and what this may mean for the worldwide economy. After coming out of the hospital, Mr. Trump renewed a push for a $1.8 trillion stimulus package, which has sent the markets roaring. There seems to be a clear stance to keep economies open and provide as much stimulus as necessary. As for what we can expect to potentially move the markets this coming week, it's bank earnings week. So we'll be covering this in our What's Ahead section. Looking at gold, we see that it behaved as expected after a strong week in the equity markets and talks of fresh new stimulus package out of the US. It closed the week 1.62% higher at $1,929.40. Now, coming back down to the crypto markets and looking at the DeFi index, we do see that it did make new lows this week, but it bounced back to close the week slightly higher, up 1.81%. Now, there seems to be a clear change in tides on DeFi, and the drama continues to unfold. It has recently come to light that professional trading groups like FTX have taken short positions on tokens with vibrant DeFi communities like YFI. The fact that these professional trading firms see blood in the water means that the downward pressure is likely to continue. People may have realized that there is no real point in owning some of these tokens other than new money coming in, and now that the new money has stopped flowing in, the questions and the losses are starting to mount. So we expect to see continued pressure on this sector as a whole. And looking at what's ahead for this week, we see that it is banks earnings week at the S&P 500. Now, although most of the attention has been placed on the tech sector, it is very possible that banks post impressive numbers given all the stimulus that has been distributed. Positive earnings and outlooks could continue to push the market higher, and we're also going to be paying attention at the performance of Silvergate, a popular crypto-friendly bank, as well as general guidance from major banks as we head into a period of prolonged low-rate environment. As always, we'll be sharing any relevant information throughout the week through our Twitter account at HODLWithLedin. And in this week's market trends section, we're going to be covering the Square purchase of Bitcoin, as well as the historical relationship between the market capitalization of Tether and the price of Bitcoin. So let's start with the news that Square purchased Bitcoin. This news was consistent with what we had been expecting. As we mentioned on our economic calendar of September 21st, we did not believe that MicroStrategies would be the last company to add Bitcoin to its balance sheet, and that it may not just be retail buying the next dip. Further, on last week's back, we highlighted how Bitcoin had held up better than in prior cycles. We expect this corporate balance sheet trend to continue, and looking deeper into Michael Saylor's comments, he had mentioned that similar companies would take about 6 to 12 months to execute a similar purchase. This leads us to believe that Square had been working on this purchase well before the MicroStrategies announcement, and that there may be a few more companies that have similar announcements under their cards. If Bitcoin continues to show positive price action, validating the decisions of these corporate boards, we expect a real trend to start emerging in around Q1, Q2 next year. Additionally, if these companies' decisions are validated by the equity markets with their stock prices rising, the level of corporate balance sheet FOMO might push Bitcoin into other balance sheets, such as pensions, insurance companies, and eventually governments. Likely a small country with either a very strong or very weak democracy will lead the way as it sees opportunities to not just hold Bitcoin, but building Bitcoin-friendly regulation. Now, I want to bring your attention to a very important chart. The chart you're looking at here shows the historical relationship between the market capitalization of Tether and the Bitcoin price. Now, we've seen that the market capitalization of Tether has exploded as of early September and has not stopped since. While historically this had gone almost directly into Bitcoin, as evidenced by the chart, there seems to be a lagging factor as of recently. This may reflect Tether going into other asset classes or simply investors seeing value in maintaining the crypto dollar format. While we do expect this to benefit Bitcoin's price in the long term, it is also very likely that crypto dollars start remaining in that format for convenience, as it does represent a significant evolution over the legacy financial system. So lastly, moving on to the difficulty front, we see that not much has changed there. It's still sitting at 19.28 terahashes, and due to adjust approximately this coming Friday evening, currently signaling for a small downwards adjustment at 19.15 terahashes. And that wraps up your economic calendar for this week. Don't forget that we have bank earnings coming out this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And if you don't yet have a Ledn account, go visit ledn.io and check us out so you can start earning 11.7% on your USDC and 6.5% on your Bitcoin. Thanks and have an excellent week.